Within 20 minutes, I had two police block my driveway, and I walked on out and I said, "Hi, what's going on?" And they said, "You're coming with us. You're going to Howard Springs to quarantine." And I said, "Well, this is the first I've heard. I was just told that people were coming to test me." And then it was literally, I was taken there against my will. It was like, you either come with us and you're dished out with a $5,000 fine. Otherwise, we'll call you a COVID cab.
We're joined here today with Hayley, who is currently in the Howard Springs quarantine camp. Now, of course, a lot of people have had to go into quarantine camps, but Hayley has a little bit of a unique story. She didn't consent to going and she was forced there. And I think it's really important we get these stories out. So Hayley, thanks for coming on here and having the bravery to tell us. So yeah, walk us through how you found yourself in quarantine against your will.
Yeah, so I was in close contact with someone who provided a weak positive to COVID. I had investigators knock on my door and ask, did you know this person? Have you been with them? I said, yes. I told them my whereabouts, and then they asked if I had a test done. I replied and said, yes, that I had, when I hadn't. And then they left. They then rang who does the test and said, we can't find your name or anything that you've had a test done. And then I said, look, I've lied to you. I actually haven't had a test done. I was scared. I've been in quarantine before. I just didn't want to go back there. I'm sorry that I lied. They said, right, no worries. Then they hung up the phone and said, someone will be there to test you in the next 20 minutes, so don't leave your home. Within 20 minutes, I had two police block my driveway, and I walked on out and I said, "Hi, what's going on?" And they said, "You're coming with us. You're going to Howard Springs to quarantine." And I said, "Well, this is the first I've heard. I was just told that people were coming to test me." And then it was literally, I was taken there against my will. It was like, you either come with us and you're dished out with a $5,000 fine. Otherwise, we'll call you a COVID cab. So I went with the COVID cab because obviously I didn't want the fine or anything. And a pub courtesy bus rocked up to take me to Howard Springs.
I've just come and she's being taken away. But look at the COVID van.
Bar, bistro, pokies and functions.
How professional.
And then the police followed in their car, pursuing me to Howard Springs, and those policemen said, you'd only be there for 48 hours till your test results come back negative. It'll only be 48 hours. We'll hold you there. And that calmed me down because obviously I've been in here before, which was just horrible. And then when I got there, Howard Springs pretty much said, no, you're here for the 14 days, no matter what. You have to consent with this. You have no choice. So I'm here against my will.
And were you willing to self-quarantine at home? Were you given that option?
Yeah, so I said to them, I said, why can't I self-isolate? Because there's actually 10 other people that were actually of close contact to this person. And they were all allowed to self-isolate. So that was what I was questioning them and saying, well, hang on, why me? Why am I the only one dragged off to Howard Springs? And they pretty much, now that I found out, is because I said that I had a test done when I hadn't. So it's pretty much punishment. They're punishing me because I lied and said I had a test when I hadn't.
Okay, well, I don't blame you for lying because you were scared and you didn't want to go back into 14 days. What does 14 days quarantine mean for you and your life outside of that, like your work, your lifestyle? Like how is it affecting you?
Well, it's horrible. Like, I'm paying rent at a house that I'm not at. I've got a job that I'm only casual at, so I'm not getting paid any money. And I don't know if I'll actually have a job to go back to once I'm actually out of here. So it's so much stress, and it's just, why is it one set of rules for one person and another set for another people? Like it just makes no sense. There's no sense to it.
Is there any compensation? Is there any financial help for people like you?
I have looked into it. I think there's a $1,500 payment, but that hasn't gone through, and I've already been in here 9 days and I still haven't been compensated any money. I'll have to call Centrelink to see what I can get and if if it works. But yeah.
And a lot of people don't know what it's like to be in a quarantine facility. I did see a video of you being told off by them like you were a little kid in a schoolyard. And there's lines on the balcony and you can't cross the line and you can only go to the laundry and you have to wear a mask out on your balcony even though no one's around you. So what is it actually like living in quarantine?
It's so strict. You can't do anything. You can't go for a walk. You get anxious and stuff. You're trapped in a small room. And I asked, can I just go for a walk? I need to exercise. I'm just getting trapped. I'm feeling anxious in here. And how they actually said, well, no, you're not allowed to do that, but we can give you Valium to calm you down. So they wanted to give drugs to help people.
Go figure. Let's fix it with the pharmaceutical industry. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Gosh. Okay. So does it feel like I've been in prison and it sounds to me like it's a little bit feels like that. Do you think it's similar to being in prison?
Yeah, I haven't been there, but you know what? You're locked in a room. You can go out on your deck having to wear a mask. That's all you can do. There's nothing else. And there's no paperwork when you come in here. There's nothing. You're literally chucked in this little box and that's it. You're left.
That's crazy. Well, the craziest thing about your story is that your 6 or 7 friends are at home being able to self-isolate and you are not. It's just doesn't make, it's not fair. It doesn't make any sense. Do you have to pay for the quarantining though?
So they said that I hadn't, that I don't have to pay. But that's the only information that they gave me, that you won't have to pay. You just have to do your 14 days and that's it.
And can I ask a more personal question about your friend who tested positive? How has that affected your relationship? Like, does that person, I just wonder sometimes how hard it must be for the people who test positive and it affects all these people's lives and they didn't really mean for that to happen. How is it for that person? Is it difficult?
It's so hard on her, because it's not just, me that it's, affected. Not that it, she meant to do this or anything, but, it's the 7 people that are out of work that have to self-quarantine and, she's got all that stress on her shoulders and, she feels so sorry for what's happened and there's nothing that she can do. It's just horrible that what they put people through.
And, I do think about sometimes when someone tests positive in a restaurant, and then the restaurant has to close down and they've got to do all this cleaning and pay thousands. Like, what about those people? Just must feel just terrible. I can't imagine. I think the message there is like, if you don't get tested, it doesn't exist. Just saying.
Yep. Exactly.
Is there anything else you'd like to say about your experience in there or anything at all?
Just with the lines and you can't go across and whatnot. I had 2 police officers that actually had cameras on that were filming me that issued me with a notice saying that this is your final warning and if you go off your deck again you will be issued with a $5,000 fine. So, and I said to him, I was walking to the bin and a security guard seen me and I didn't have my mask on. I actually have an exemption as well. And he was trying to fight me saying, well, no, you don't. And I said, well, you don't know my history and my medical history. So he was trying to argue with me with that as well. It's just like everyone's just against you in here. No one's batting for you.
It actually sounds worse than prison because it's like you have this illusion of being a free person, but actually you've got no freedoms. And in prison, they can walk wherever they want, by the way, and they don't have to wear a mask and they can go to the gym on prison campus. So it's like psychologically damaging. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm all right. Lucky I have a good mindset and I try to keep myself busy and don't think about the scenario too much. But I'm just, these COVID camps are real. And, there's one getting built in Melbourne now. And it's so if anyone becomes a close contact, doesn't matter if you're fully vaxxed, one vaxxed, not vaxxed, you can get sent to these camps no matter what if you're a close contact.
So checking in is putting you, every time someone checks in, they're putting themselves at potential risk of being forced to go to a camp.
Yeah. Yep.
That's just crazy. I wanted to say that I'll tell the audience this now because it's not going to matter when we release it, but Hayley has actually asked for us to not release the video until she's out because she's concerned that if the video goes out, they will punish her even more in there. Is that right?
Yeah, correct. I just don't want anything to keep me in here longer just because, they can chuck anyone in here and say, well, no, you're going to be staying in longer because you spoke out. So, and I know that is actually happening. So I've seen online more things that people have been in here longer because they've spoken out.
And it's not like everyone has ability to pay thousands of dollars for a legal advice, so they know that you've got no hope. So they just treat you like they do.
Yeah, just horrible. So, yeah.
Sorry. Well, you've got 3 days left. So, I hope you'll be okay. And thanks for sharing your story. And we'll wait till you're out to share it. I promise.
Beautiful. Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right. And if there's any other issues, like if they harass you after this interview, please contact us and we'll do whatever we can to help.
Yeah, no worries. Awesome. We'll do. Thank you so much.
See ya.
Yeah. Bye.